every story appears ordinary till you see the core side of it.
And what you're looking for is the story behind the news.
We bring it to you from Lagos, the commercial capital of Nigeria.
Giving you all sides and political stories round the clock.
Every detail from the start line to the final whistle.
CoreTV News, expanding your view.
Hello, thank you for joining us on CoreTV Primetime News. Hi, I'm Frank Homalape. A look at our top stories now. Thank you for joining us now. President Muhammadu Buhari will depart Abuja on Friday for Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt, to participate in the Business for Africa, Egypt and the World Forum. The forum, which opens in the Egyptian resort town on Saturday, is being organized by the Egyptian government under the auspices of the African Union Commission. The forum's objective is to accelerate private sector management and investment within Africa and promote the development of Africa ties and partnerships. President Buhari, President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi of Egypt, and the President of Togo, Sudan, Kenya, Gabon, Equatorial Guinea, and the Prime Minister of Ethiopia, and among confirmed speakers of the forum. The President will be accompanied on the trip by the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Geoffrey Onyema, and the Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Okechukwu Enelama. And away from there now, as Nigerians continue to call for action on the economy, Nobel laureate Wole Soyinka says the federal government should convoke an emergency economic conference to come up with solutions to address the parallel state of the economy. He is, however, content with the pace at which the federal government is fighting the war on graft, describing the revelations of the level of misappropriation of funds mind-boggling. Our correspondent Kazim Kasali has more in this report.
The Nobel laureate, while responding to questions on the state of the nation on his visit to the Minister of Information and Culture, says the current economic woes did not happen overnight. Going further, he says it is a consequence of years of misgovernance, urging Nigerians to be patient. For him, an emergency economic conference by the federal government to come up with solutions is in order.
So bad, in my view, that I think that the President should call an emergency economic conference, which experts will be invited, consumers, producers, labor unions, university experts, professors, etc., etc. I think we really need an emergency economic conference, a rescue operation, bringing as many heads together and then plotting the way forward.
On the war on graft, he says he is in total support of the decision of the federal government to start a crusade on corruption within the system. He says the issue of human rights may be a concern, but that the government will be better advised to look at this critically.
And all I can say right now is that there is a very definite dedication both to that target and also the tempo of motion is, for me, very reasonable. In fact, I would say more than reasonable. It's us now, on the human rights side, who have to watch very carefully to see that that goal is achieved without forfeiting the fundamental human rights which form the basis of free citizenship.
For his part, Minister of Information and Culture, in his welcome address, says the Nobel laureate remains an icon of culture who will always be welcome to share ideas for national development. Kazim Kasali, CoreTV News, Abuja.
And our National Publicity Secretary of the People's Democratic Party is again having his day in court. This time, he is making a no-case submission before a federal high court in Abuja against the evidence of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission on charges of money laundering brought against him. And now there may no longer be rumors that the 2016 budgets may have been padded. Following the adjournment of plenary by both chambers this week, the various committees are again set to continue the meeting with the ministries, departments and agencies to consider the budget proposal. Our National Assembly correspondent Jamila Febua has been seeking the views of some members of the House of Representatives on why the passage may have to wait another week longer.
Both chambers of the National Assembly were set to pass the 2016 appropriation bill into law on the 25th of February. But as it stands, that may have to wait.
Obviously, it is still news that there's a lot of amendment that needs to be done with the budget, and with what is being discovered, if we are to go ahead, we won't do a good service to Nigerians, and we'll be doing a disservice to ourselves too, as the arm of government entitled to, one of the major responsibilities of the National Assembly is the appropriation law. And if you do a shady job, it affects the whole country, and that's not what we're here for. So if it's going to take us additional 1 week to be able to do a good job, I think it's okay.
Discoveries of discrepancies, such as overbloating some ministries' proposal, worry some members who are insisting that more time is needed to do a thorough job.
We need to look at some of the critical aspects, because there are lots of, let's face the reality, there are lots of MDA that are actually rejecting some of the appropriation being sent to us that was laid to the table, to the National Assembly. That's the reality, I'm not going lying. So some of them, when we invite them for the budget defense, what they only tell you from is that what they actually gave out as to the budget office was not what they are seeing there. So
one of the culprits of the alleged pardon is the budget office, where it's been alleged that the document put forward by Mr. President had been tampered with.
What I can tell you about the budget just like that, initially when the budget was being prepared, the government asked the ministry to do their estimate based on zero budgeting. You know what I mean by zero budgeting? That it's making their proposals, starting their projects, their proposal from scratch. And all ministries and parastatals did that and submitted their estimate to the budget office. On getting to the budget office, there was a new twist. They now put an envelope for each of the ministry. Instead of the budget office returning this estimate back to the agencies so that they will now work based on the new directive on the envelope for each of their organizations, the budget office sat there on their own and did the budget without getting back to the ministries.
With another 1 week window, one wonders whether or not the National Assembly can put together a document that should be beneficial to Nigerians. Jamila Fegu, CoreTV News, Abuja.
And now, despite effort being made to forestall conflicts between Fulani herdsmen and some communities in the country, clashes resulting in death still occurred in most places. This was the point in the matter of urgent national importance moved by Mark Tessie from Benue State on the floor of the House Wednesday. Our correspondent Jamila Fegua brings us the happening at the plenary.
The not too packed chamber mostly had infrastructural motions on the other paper. But of serious concern was the motion seeking intervention in the invasion of the Fulani herdsmen in parts of Benue State, and asking the House to consider a solution through the security agencies.
The House is alarmed at the recent influx of hundreds of unidentified herdsmen and their cattle into several towns and villages in Agatu, Buruku, Gwe West, and Makudi local government areas of Benue State, and the reported loss of over 16 lives and millions of naira worth of property and farmland in the last week due to the alleged attacks by these herdsmen on communities in the state. The House is aware that it has become a recurring decimal for herdsmen to migrate to Benue and other states in Nigeria every year in search of greener pasture for their cattle. And with the absence of designated ranches or grazing reserves, these cattle often encroach on cultivated farmland and water resources of the communities.
The urgent need to complete the rehabilitation of the Jega Meyawa Koko Yauri Road also caught the attention of Salisu Koko, who observed that since it was constructed 40 years ago, its deplorable state leaves much to be desired.
The House observed that the road, which was constructed more than 40 years ago, is in a very deplorable state with large stretches and already washed away by erosion, thus leading to the good flow, which is bringing untold hardship to motorists and expose them to insecurity.
Billions of naira may just be going down the drain if urgent steps are not taken to resuscitate the multi-million naira federal government investment in the Ikere Gorge Dam in the same local government area of Oyo State, as observed by member from the state.
The House is also aware that the Infrastructure Consensus Regulatory Commission in the year 2013 Public-Private Partnership Project Pipeline Report identified Ikere Gorge Dam as one of the 10 dams from which 45 megawatts of electricity can be generated to ease the power shortage in the country.
All over the world, the main sectors that drive any development are the agricultural, industrial, communication and education sectors. A motion seeking to increase the budgetary allocation for Agricultural Ministry to enhance the integrated rural development in the country was also moved.
I want to call the attention of this Honorable House to the fact that by and large, the third tier of government, meaning the local government areas that usually cater for the rural areas, they have failed generally. Taking in cognizance my own state, for example, in the last 5 years, we have not had the creation of even one single road, one single rural road, not even one borehole. We have done virtually nothing in rural electrification.
Being infrastructural motions, they all have been referred to the relevant committees for the necessary legislative inputs. Jamila Fegwa, CoreTV News, Abuja.
And now to health matters now. The Nigerian Medical Association has dissociated itself from the proposed strike by health workers in Nigeria over an alleged breach of agreements with government. In a statement by its chairman, Publicity and Publication Committee, Obi Makinde, the NMA described the proposed strike as illegal. Obi Makinde informed Nigerians that doctors were not part of the planned withdrawal of services in hospitals nationwide by health workers. However, cautioned that issues which have been concluded in the past negotiations or supported by government circulars and memoranda should not be reinvented or distorted in this impasse. The organization also called on security agencies to beef up security around hospitals and give maximum protection to doctors. The Joint Health Sector Unions and Assembly of Healthcare Professional Association had threatened to embark on a nationwide strike following the expiration of their 2 weeks ultimatum. Meanwhile, Osun State Governor Rauf Aregbesola has described the industrial action embarked upon by doctors in the state as insensitive to the economic challenges faced by the state and the nation as well. Aregbesola broke his silence on the doctors' 3-day warning strike while commissioning new equipment for Borikwe local government health centers at Iragbiji, Osun State. He noted that the demands made by the doctors are unreasonable, while admonishing them to be willing to sacrifice like other workers in the state whom he says are dedicated to their job schedules. He also maintains that state government, in spite of its financial challenges, will continue to give priority to the welfare of its people. You're still watching CoreTV Primetime News. We take a break now. We'll be back with more stories. Do join us again.
Are you aware that the death percentage attributed to Lassa fever cases is currently put at 43.2%, a figure considered very high? Lassa fever, an acute viral illness characterized by high fever, muscle aches, mouth ulcers and bleeding in the skin, is harbored by rats and spread to humans via the urine and droppings of rats. To prevent Lassa fever, avoid any exposure with rodents, rats, as well as food and objects contaminated with rat secretions and excretions. Report all suspected cases of Lassa fever immediately to the nearest healthcare institution. Help prevent Lassa fever. This message is from the federal government of Nigeria.
Is it crazy or autocracy? Or what type of crazy is that? Except crazy.
News making the headlines.
Black Maria is to carry criminals, child looters that are in government today.
Sometimes it gets confrontational.
Slap you in the face. Excuse me, don't put words into my mouth.
Whatever it is that will bring our military to disrepute, I said to hell.
On Core Digest,
I want to know why I should be believing them.
Every weekday, we bring all of these together and take them to the court of public opinion.
Everybody has a right in Nigeria,
where you are the judge.
If you just joined us, this is CoreTV Primetime News, broadcasting live from our Lagos studios. A reminder of our top stories now. And all our top stories can be found on our social media platforms, facebook.com/CoreTV News. You can also follow at CoreTV News NG. For other stories now, log on to youtube.com/CoreTV. Leave a space, then news. And now President Muhammadu Buhari has commiserated with victims of the fire outbreak in the popular Singa market in Kano State. In a statement by his special advisor to the president on media and publicity, Femi Adesina, President Buhari said he is deeply saddened by the destruction of very valuable goods and property. He discloses that he shares in the pain and anguish of all the hardworking Nigerians who lost their wares and belongings in the unfortunate fire incident. The president assured those who suffered losses from the fire incident that the federal government would do all within its powers to support the efforts of the Kano state government to ameliorate their plight. The fire outbreak at the early hours of Thursday gutted the popular Singa market in Kano, destroying no fewer than 200 shops. And as to elections mattered now, the Imo State Police Command has warned politicians and group of persons to desist from any acts of forgery, hooliganism or any related action that might disrupt the peace and success of Saturday's National and State Assembly re-election in the state. The Imo State Commissioner of Police, Taiwo Lakano, gave the warning at an election stakeholders meeting and signing of peace accord at the command headquarters in Owerri, the Imo State capital. Lakano said the command and other security operatives in the state have put measures in place to checkmate and acts or action that might cause a breakdown of peace in the state during the election. He urged all political parties involved in the election to play by the rules, noting that the command will give all the parties a level playing ground. The Administrative Secretary of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, in the state, Ivo Rulobi Chinedu, said the commission is fully prepared for the election. And now the Independent National Electoral Commission in Kogi State says it is ready to conduct a free, fair and credible rerun election, which will be coming up on Saturday. The resident electoral commissioner, Halilu Pai, disclosed this while addressing stakeholders ahead of the election in Okene local government area of the state. Halilu Pai said the commission is working on the directive of the court, which does not permit any party to field in a new flag bearer or a new political party. The area commander in Okene, while lending his voice at the meeting, said despite how volatile the area used to be during elections, the police will ensure that law and order is maintained during and after the election, but also advised the judiciary to be speedy with election cases to help the electoral process. And now the Independent National Electoral Commission has been distributing sensitive materials preparatory to Saturday's rerun elections in one federal constituency and two state constituency. Our state correspondent in Taraba give us an update on that story. Well, we'll bring you that story in our subsequent bulletins. A political truant and a party jumper is what the new People's Democratic Party chairman Alimodu Sharif is being described as by some members of the opposition. Governor Abdullahi Ganduje, sharing his opinion on the personality of the former governor of Borno State, says Sharif has been in virtually all the major parties in the country and wouldn't be a surprise if he returns to the APC. Going by his antecedents, Ganduje says the new PDP chairman lacks the capacity to lead the party, and while some ex-ministers are kicking against the emergence of Alimodu Sharif as chairman of the People's Democratic Party.
I think he's a cross-carpeter. He is always on the move in changing from one party to another. Even when he was in MPP for 8 years, he was working for PDP. And even the APC started with him. And then he went back to PDP. In fact, we are happy. In the long run, he will work for us. That is what I believe. We are happy because we believe in the long run, he will work for us. Well.
And now the meeting of the Independent National Electoral Commission, the police and political stakeholders to address issues bothering on security during the rerun of Rivers State legislative elections on March 19th turned to a war of words between the All Progressive Congress APC and the People's Democratic Party PDP. A meeting which became more important in the wake of violence and court-related clashes in various parts of the state took a dramatic turn after the state chairman of the APC, Davis Ibiamo Ikanya, accused the People's Democratic Party of being behind the murder of 20 All Progressive Congress members in Ogba, Igbima, Indoni local government area on Friday. And now, Yobe State Governor Ibrahim Gaidam has assented to the 2016 appropriation and finance bills. Assenting to the budget, Governor Gaidam says the state government has set aside 88.9 billion naira in the appropriation and finance bills tag result-based budget for consolidation, reconstruction and self-reliance. It discloses that 48% of the budget is earmarked for capital expenditure, while the capital expenditure stood at 52%. Despite the dwindling resources, the governor expresses hope that with commitment to internally generated revenue coupled with significant improvement in security situation, his administration will implement the budget effectively. Let's move away from that now. The crisis of traditional authority brewing between the Ogoga of Ikere and Olukere Ekiti has taken a new dimension as Olukere or Bagani Obasuni and his supporters stormed the Ekiti State House of Assembly to submit a petition before the Petition and Complaints Committee. They are asking for recognition of Olukere as the genuine and traditional head of the town. Speaking through his counsel, Moraki Ogele, the history was again elicited as they argued while Olukere should be recognized as the authentic traditional head of Ikere.
The drama surrounding the tussle between the Obuga of Ikere and Olukere has resurfaced again, this time at the Ekiti State House of Assembly complex. Committee on Public Complaints and Petition played host to Olukere of Ikere, Obagani Obasoyin, his counsel and supporters as the fight between the two monarchs takes a new turn. At the hearing, light was shed on some historical facts to back the argument for Olukere to be recognized as the authentic traditional head.
Because of the traditional implication of my going out or seeing people, I decide to delegate some of my duties to the Obuga, as confirmed by this intelligence report.
Counsel to Olukere Murakinyo Gele referred to an earlier court ruling which recognizes Olukere as the traditional head of the town.
The court recognized that Olukere was the founder of Ikere, and still an Oba, is wearing crown. That is the basis of all these judgments.
Everywhere in Yoruba land, the Olu is always the number one. And we have put the history before them. They should look into it and do the right thing and give us our staff of office and give us recognition.
Chairman of the Public Petitions and Complaints Committee, Titilayo Olabiakerele, however, calls for calm pending the outcome of the committee's deliberation on the matter.
We have appealed for peace in Ikere because it is when there is peace that we can be able to adjudicate the case very well.
As there are two sides to a coin, the committee will in few days host the Obuga and his team to tell their own side of the story. Ikere Ekiti residents eagerly wait for the outcomes and hope a lasting peace between the monarchs return as soon as possible. Rashid, CoreTV News, Ado Ekiti.
The Olukere is here.
And now the call has been made so the federal and state government will always ask for expert advice when embarking on an investment adventure. Chairman Plateau State Investment Company Ezekiel Gomez makes the call at a bidding process for the rebuilding of the Bunt Jos main market. The Plateau State government has been searching for alternative sources of revenue to boost the state economy, hence the call for it and others not to neglect the input of investment experts. And now let's take a look at some stories in business now. And now the foremost economist Henry Boyo has challenged the government to adopt a more realistic approach to tackle the continuous fall of the Naira. According to him, he believes the CBN's mop-up theory as a policy to save the Naira, among other measures, are not strong enough policies to save the value of the Naira. Henry Boyo was speaking on our flagship program called Digest.
How does that help?
Various reasons have always been adduced in economic monetary terms by the apex financial regulatory authorities in the country, the Central Bank of Nigeria, and all the financial experts whose expertise have never helped stabilize the Naira against foreign exchange vagaries in the economy. Year in, year out, the Central Bank of Nigeria's Naira mantra, or sing-songs, is that there is excess liquidity that must be mopped up in the system, therefore creating too much money, choosing fewer goods. But a renowned economist believes that all the postulation of the monetary regulators of the Central Bank of Nigeria are not capable of ensuring the value of the Naira.
If any central bank governor is unable to keep inflation below monetary policy rate below 4%, he should be shown the way out, because when monetary policy rate is at 13% and beyond, it's total failure. And there's no point in sustaining such a system, especially when the people who are practicing it, the practitioners, come and tell you to your face because they think you're not thinking, and tell you that, look, this is what we've been doing. We keep mopping up money, and we know you're not going to ask us where does this extra money come from. So we are going to keep doing it and keep telling you that, look, we are doing our best.
Some of the callers on CoreTV News breakfast flagship program, Core Digest, have mixed views about the state of the Naira and its purchasing power on the economy.
It is time they come out and tell Nigerians the truth about the situation of things. And we are sick and tired of all these things that is happening. Otherwise, any moment from now, we will stage a very huge protest. We are sick and tired of all this. If they don't want to bring the solution, they should pack out.
Everything in Nigeria is falling. The fact is that the country that is independent without a plan of action and never have a solution to solve their problem. That is the truth. All what the people are discussing there, strategy, But the fact is that they have to go back to the drawing board and have a plan of action for Nigeria before Nigeria can have a solution to all its problems.
And my one thought about it is that we just have to look inward. As a matter of fact, I get to check and I discover that we don't export anything outside. And I was surprised when I discovered that even we do more import from outside. So we just have to look inward. And then I'm surprised when people take this thing in a political dimension. I remember when Mbaka said that a skeleton economy was...
But not to be daunted and lose hope in Nigeria's economy, a holistic plan on how to make the naira worth the paper is printed on are enunciated below.
If you have a problem, you find out the cause of that problem. That is a sensible approach. So we have a problem. Our problem is with high interest rates, high rate of inflation. And, so what is the most significant cause of the high interest rate? And I've explained that this is caused by surplus naira, which I did not conjure up or whatever, because the people who run our monetary policy framework.
Nigerians, no doubt, are faced with a myriad of economic problems that have been created by gross mismanagement, avarice, lack of foresight, and elite abuse of the commonwealth of Nigeria. But will Nigeria ever get out of the economic woes caused by the almost valueless naira?
And now the wife of the president of Nigeria, Aisha Buhari, has thrown her weight behind the patronage of locally made goods. The First Lady, while speaking at a gathering in Lagos, strongly recommend that Nigeria buy made-in-Nigeria products, and art she believes will help in revamping the economy.
I have a passion for seeing Nigeria-made products. I would like to comment on our legislators. I've just heard from the distinguished senator that some foreigners met the Senate leaders, talking to them to revert the policies or the laws that was passed to ban the importation. I think we have imported enough. We thank them so much for showing us how to produce tomato paste. We thank them so much. May God bless them. May God bless our senators for defending the policies of this country.
And with Nigeria's dwindling economy and more bans placed on importation of materials and goods made in Nigeria, which refers to the patronage and consumption of locally made products, is fast becoming a trending phrase. The preparedness of indigenous companies to meet up with demand when Nigerians catch on with the made-in-Nigerian paradigm is worthy of attention. Our correspondent, Aki Obake, engages parts on these and more. His reports.
For lack of constant power supply, resulting in high cost of production, many manufacturing companies have folded up in the last 2 decades. If Nigerians then decide to opt for more made-in-Nigeria goods, how will the few factories that have survived the harsh economic climate cope? How can some be revived? And what will be the role of foreign investors?
In China, they kill smugglers, and we should try to let them to stop, or they join the league of killing, because they are killing people in millions, while their life is only single, and they must start by foreigners. They continue to talk, want to tell they refuse of Vietnam. Thank God they have come to see what we have done, what God has used us to do in Nigeria.
The social impact of patronizing our own Nigerian products is equally enormous.
Where local industries are thriving, you discover that in these areas, you discover that there will be concentration of labor in that area. Automatically, there will be housing. People will be building houses for where workers will work. There will be traders also in that area. There will be amenities provided by federal government, or by government or of those states or federal government. And you discover that these are multiplier effects of where you patronize made in Nigeria goods.
Looking inwards will definitely boost the nation's economy. The onus, however, still lies on the federal government to ensure economic policies are geared towards creating a sustainable and lasting economic development drive. Aki Obake, CoreTV News, Lagos.
You've been watching CoreTV Primetime News. Still ahead of the news, Nigeria Super Eagles will on March 25th host the Pharaohs of Egypt at the 2017 African Cup of Nations qualifying match. Details in sport. Join us again.
You can now watch CoreTV News live from anywhere in the world on our website www.coretvnews.com. Click on Live TV on our website and watch us live.
And welcome to CoreTV Primetime News.
To follow us on Twitter, click on Twitter icon on our website. On Facebook, click on the Facebook and YouTube to see all our previous news production. You can also watch us live on YouTube. Click CoreTV, leave a space, then news. CoreTV News, a 24-hour news station.
Nigerians are expected to seek out the best.
2 words to describe the activity.
Nigerians are saying, say to you on
Be the first to know.
On CoreTV News.
From the north, south, east, west and around Africa.
Presidential
we break the news.
Women in Nigeria.
Now you can catch all the actions live as the news spreads. We are CoreTV News.
Welcome to CoreTV Primetime News.
A 24-hour news station.
And now, thank you for being there. Outside Nigeria now, Kenya's army says it has killed Al-Shabaab's intelligence chief and another 10 of the armed group's commanders in an airstrike in Somalia. In a statement earlier today, the Kenyan army said Kenya's troops were part of an African Union force in Somalia fighting Al-Shabaab killed Kuwait in a strike at an Al-Shabaab training camp on February 8. The army says the killing is a major blow to the terrorist group. Al-Shabaab has, however, denied the claim, saying Mahad Kuwait, a top commander also responsible for the group's internal security, and his colleagues are safe and sound, and that the airstrike did not happen. And now, Turkey's Prime Minister Ahmed Davutoglu has blamed Syria's PKK-lined link YPG group for the blast in the capital Ankara that killed at least 28 people. In a speech delivered today, Davutoglu blames the suicide attack on a Syrian Kurd with links to the YPG, adding that 9 others linked to the attack were arrested after the bombing. The Turkish Prime Minister called on the US and other allies to arrange cooperation with the YPG in Syria and list it as a terrorist group. Speaking shortly after Davutoglu, Turkey's President Recep Tayyip Erdogan says his country will reveal evidence proving the YPG's involvement in the attack, adding that those who support them will be judged by history. And now more than 20 Iraqi civilians have been killed in 2 airstrikes on towns held by the Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant group in the west of Anbar province. It is not, however, not apparent whether the airstrikes which took place on Thursday in the towns of Heat and Ruba were carried out by the US-led international coalition or Iraqi Air Force planes. Iraqi forces and ISIL are engaged in battles across Anbar, especially around the urban centers of Ramadi, which is now largely controlled by government forces, and Fallujah, which is still held by the fighters since being pushed from the center of Ramadi in late December. ISIL has launched near daily attack on Iraqi forces, especially on the outskirts of the city. And in sport now.
Power style, and that's what he delivered.
And now Nigeria's Super Eagles will on March 25th host the Pharaohs of Egypt and a 2017 Africa Cup of Nations qualification match day 3 feature. In a press statement on Thursday, the Nigerian Football Federation says the decision followed a mail sent to it by the Confederation of African Football, CAF, on Wednesday. The mail indicates that Nigeria should endeavor to make room for a minimum of 2 full days of rest between the 2 matches. The match is scheduled for the Ahmadu Bello Stadium in Kaduna and is the first of 2 involving both sides in the qualification competition. NFF General Secretary Mohammed Sanusi says in the press statement, "We will play on March 25 and March 26 we serve as a day for the 2 teams to travel. March 27 and 28 will be rest days before the return leg on March 29. And now the Nigerian Football Federation have issued Super Eagles coach Sunday Olise what he described as his final warning. This is a result of his unguarded comments in the media about his job and employer. Recently, Olise made a lengthy broadcasting on YouTube in which he said Chan was one of the least important among CAF organized tournaments, insinuating that Eagles' exit from the competition was a result of NFF's inability to run a good league. His action attracted the football house, which threatened to relieve him of his duties, but the Sports Minister Solomon Dalong stepped in and prevailed on his behalf. In line with global practices, the committee decided that Coach Olise must henceforth report to the NFF General Secretary and the Technical and Development Committee. And now the Nigerian Football Federation have named under-17 head coach Manuel Amunike as the new coach the Nigeria under-20 team. This was confirmed by the NFF after its executive board meeting held on Tuesday. The African footballers recently led the Golden Eaglets to win the under-17 World Cup in Chile last year with an outstanding performance and was handed a chance to progress to the under-20 level. Emmanuel Amunike was named African Footballer of the Year in 1994 and will hope to qualify the Flying Eagles to the under-20 African Cup of Nations in Zambia next year. And now, President of the International Association of the Athletics Federation, Lord Koe, is ready to ban Kenya's track and field team from the Olympics in the country's Athletic Federation is declared non-compliant with the World Anti-Doping Agency. This is coming after a spate of positive drug tests among some of the country's athletes and allegations of corruption. Kenya last week missed a deadline to prove to WADA it was tackling cheating. Koe says he would impose serious sanctions on any nation guilty of attempting to cover up drug trafficking or taking. You'll be watching CoreTV Primetime News. Just before we go tonight, at a look at the top stories again. Well, that has been our show tonight. Many thanks for watching. On behalf of the entire production crew, I am Frank Omalape. Have a good night rest.